Am I audible now? Am I audible now, everyone? Good evening. How are you? How are you all are doing today? How was your Wednesday, the midday of the week? Good. I'm totally fine, Hariharan. Absolutely all right. Thanks for asking, everyone. Okay. So today's agenda is pretty much clear. Today's agenda is pretty much clear for everyone that from today we'll be starting with the advanced JavaScript concept. Okay. This would be our part one. The next session would be part two, and the very next session of that would be part three. This part one would be easy peasy, just as like it's like a cool session. Will not cover much topics today, okay? Where we'll just cover like 4 to 5 topics, but that 4 to 5 topics would be like base. Those are the base of your career. Okay, those concepts are pretty important in JavaScript, right? In this particular 2 lectures of that, we will be looking in the Friday and Saturday consequently. In that particular thing, we have to cover a lot of things. Okay, so in that particular lectures, we know like it is absolutely known that we at least know the basics and the code that we already covered. Am I clear? Am I clear up to this point? Okay, right, cool, fine. So let me start with our first topic for today. I don't know how many of you guys are aware about it or not. Okay, so the first topic of today, that would be pass by value and pass by reference. Okay, will not rush today, because everything that you will be cover, like everything what we will be covering in the future, this would be the base of it. Okay, I hope that we had covered this particular point in earlier session, but since you guys are not from technical background, many of you, that's why we put it into the middle of the thing, right? So anyway, let me start with the pass by value, right? So in the thing such as called as pass by value, okay, it's pretty simple, and it's pretty obvious that whatever that you are learning in JavaScript, okay. So if I'm writing now, so in JavaScript, all function arguments are by default, they are pass by value. Okay, but what the hell is this? Okay, I think that every one of you have the question, right? What is the pass by values then, right? So it does mean that this pass by value does mean that copy the of the variables into the function arguments. Okay, just hold on for a minute, we will be come back to this particular definition. I will be showing you something. After that, we'll be come back into this definition. Then after, everything would be much clear. All right. So please hold on for a minute and let me explain what I mean to say. Right. Right. So till now, what is the like pass by value that we have seen, but what does this actually mean? Right. So any changes that you are making into the argument inside the function, it does not reflect the passing variables outside the function. Now, what did I say? Okay, so let me share my Mozilla screen. Let me share it. Uh, 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 just a second. I need to open that developer console. ठीक है. So let me know once you can see it. Okay, let me know once you are able to see that. The developer console of Mozilla I have opened right now. Everyone can see that, है ना? ठीक है. So now please observe carefully that what I'm writing here. I'm writing a function such as square. Inside that I'm taking my argument of x. ठीक है? Okay. And inside of that I am putting it x is equals to x into x, right? And I am returning my x here. I'm initializing my another variable called as y equals to 10 here, and I'm putting it into the result is equals to, then I'm calling my function square, that is y, right? Okay. And I'm just consoling out console.log result, and I'm just consoling out console.log y. Can anyone tell me what would be the output of this particular two consoles that I've just written? Answer, first think, then answer. All right, everyone. I want answer from everybody. Right? So everyone is right. Everyone says 100 and 10. Yes or no? Right. So it's pretty simple that whenever this y is equals to 10, okay, this square inside this function square, we are passing, ultimately we are passing what? 10. 10 would be copied here, and whatever value 10 is, whatever value we are passing, okay, it multiplies it, it stores into the x, and it returns back to the here. Yes, this is what the flow is, है ना? This correct or not? Okay. So on the surface level we understood what does that mean, है ना? Why, how this program executes, right? But let me go into the bit detail of that. Okay, let me copy that, and let me paste it into the into my OneNote. Just a second, I'm copying that. Let me know once you can see the screen of OneNote. All right, let me copy that. All right, see, can you see the, code? Can you see the code? Right? Cool. ठीक है. So on the surface level we understood how this code was working. True. But let me go in the bit detail how this is actually working, right? So where the moment you do this here square, and inside that we had y barabar, ठीक है, ना? So inside that we had y, right or not? Okay, but y was what? 10 initially. So ultimately can I say that this value of y would be 10, right? Okay. Okay. Now think carefully and observe here that we have the square of x, right? Okay, inside that we are doing x is equals to x into s. Everyone, like, is it visible, or there is need of zoom it? Is it visible now for everyone? Okay, let me zoom a bit so that everyone can see it, right? Cool. So this is my square of x. Okay, inside my function I'm passing the variable of x, right? I'm doing x is equals to x multiplies by, then after I have y is equals to 10. So ultimately can I say that in my computer memory, there is, I already explained you in detail for prior, but let me explain once again. In my computer memory there is something called as my stack. Okay, this is my stack, right? Inside that particular stack, we have, this is my stack. Inside this particular stack we have this particular y is equals to 10. Yes or no? Whenever you are creating a variable, it will be stored like this in the stack. Yes or no? Okay, stack is nothing but a type of data structure, just as arrays and like till now we already like only see arrays, so you will not relate about it. But consider that stack is also one kind of data structure that we are going to see in detail as arrays, right, in future, right? But right now, just understand that in computer memory, whatever variables you are creating, it will be stored like this. All right, okay. Now in your computer memory there is a thing called as stack, as you already know, and where your all variables would get stored. So here y is equals to 10 will get stored. Yes or no? Okay. Now when you now this, if this thing is particular thing is clear to you, now when you call your square of x, okay, now when you will call this particular square of x or square of y, okay, okay, when you do that, the moment you do that, there will be two possibilities of here. Okay, there will be two possibilities. Either one possibility is that copy the variable's value of y, okay, will be passed into the function square. This value of y, the copy of that would be passed here. Okay, and the second possibility is the actual value of y would be getting passed inside the function. So actual value of y is what, 10. Okay, so actual value of 10 is passed here. So there are two possibilities. Yes or no? Everyone agrees with me? Everyone agrees with me? Okay, na? There will be two possibilities only. No third. Everyone. Yeah. Dipanshu, what I mean to say here is, if you, the moment you will do the square of y, okay, the moment you will call the function square of y, so inside that, but your actual function of this is having a variable of what, x, okay. Now now onwards, inside this particular function, you will use this particular variable x, not the y, right? So there are two possibilities when you are calling or invoking a function. One is that this actual value of y would be getting passed here. Second possibility is the copy of y would be get created. This is my copy of y, okay. This value would be passed here, okay. So this value would be shared of between both x and y, okay. That is what I meant to say. Now 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 after that, if I'm doing like inside the square of x, okay, so inside this particular square of x, let me just delete it for now. Okay, so inside this particular square of x, right, a copy of, like, what actually is doing, I'm just telling you that the copy of y is created. The copy of this y will be created, you know, and store it to the variable x and then pass it over again, okay. So now it does mean that you will be creating a copy of y which will be stored here in the x, okay. When you are calling that, the x would be get created with the value of 10. That is the copy of y, okay, right? So the stack, now your stack will be look like something this, right? Right. Now so based on the output, what do you think what was happening at that time? Okay, actual value of y means the actual value of y, that means 10, okay. Okay, now now guys, tell me, if you are seeing that particular output right now, my Mozilla is visible. Mozilla is visible for everyone. Yes or no? Yes, na? No, it's not visible. So what is visible now? OneNote. Okay, so sorry about it. Let me share my Mozilla screen. So guys, now tell me, if I'm running this program, my first value, that is my result, right? So result is having what, whatever return value it's having of the square, okay, it will hold in the result, okay. We are consoling that result into this 100 and console y, that was my previous value of y, that was 10, okay. So based on this output, what do you think my actual value of y was passing here, or the copy of y was passing there, okay. So based on the output, what do you think? So see, if the actual value was getting passed inside the function, then I would have got the y into y, that means 100, right? Inside this y, yes or no? If my actual value of this y was passing here, right? So if I'm doing x into x, then y was also changing, na? है ना? So the copy of y was passing, yes, yes or no? Harian, y actual one. If you are passing the actual one, then you will get this console as 100, na? Right? ठीक है? Right? So the here my copy of y was passing into the, like, it was copied into the x, and x was doing all the things. Okay, so now x is equals to 10 and y is equals to 10. It's something like the like this would happen, and the copy of y would get created for the x variable to work inside the function. Can I say that? Can I say that that y's value was copying into the x, and x was doing all the thing inside the function? है ना? So hence it is proved that whenever you are passing a variable to a function, it's not the actual variable that is passed, right? Okay, it is a copy of the variable that is passing through the function, right? Okay, this is highly important concept, guys. Please understand that. Okay, so whenever in the JavaScript any function, if you are passing a variable to that, okay, the copy of the variable would get passed, not the actual one. Okay, now let me do something else here. Okay, so suppose I have y is equals to 10. Okay, no, let me think what I can say here is, okay, now, so see, whenever you do that, whenever you are doing this particular operation, let's say let y is equals to 10, this operation, right? Okay, so internally I have told you na that what the mechanism behind that, right? So the I'm repeating that once again. So when you do like let y is equals to 10, the computer will create a placeholder or the box, okay, which will store the value 10 there, and it will have some address like 00ab, like that, you know, and it will have some real address. So whenever you do square of y, so here you are not actually passing that particular thing, you are passing the value of what y is holding, right? Okay, so let me draw that and let me explain you once again. Okay, I'm not sure you are relating with it or not, but it is pretty simple and we already looked in the previous class. Let me explain once again to you. Okay, so what I meant to say was that, guys, if you are doing let y is equals to 10, yeah, okay, so if you are doing this particular operation, if you are doing this particular operation, then behind the scenes the computer memory, this is my computer memory, inside this computer memory the placeholder or the box will be get created. Okay, one placeholder or the box will be get created for this particular y. We will name this particular box as y, but the actual thing will be that this box will store a value of what, 10. It will have some real address like 00ab, like something like that. Okay, it will have some actual address of that, and like since it is having some real address, so whenever you want to fetch this particular value, you will you will not like you will whenever we are trying to fetch this particular value, you are referencing this particular address and fetch this particular value. So value here is not constant, but the address is. How many of you guys are getting that? Address will always be the same, value will not be the same. Let's say if I'm doing y is equals to 100 here, if I'm doing console.log y here, it will not give you 10, it will give you 100, right? But now also, like here also my address was 00ab, here also my address would be 00ab, correct or not? ठीक है? Yes, है ना? ठीक है. Now, one more thing I want to tell you here, that so like y is nothing but a way to point your variable. Can I say that? Okay, this y is nothing but a point to reference your variable, or can I say that like y is nothing but a way to point to your variable. Okay, so variable are what? Variable are nothing but a placeholder, right? So now if I want to access the value 10, then it is not possible to remember, like for computer or for anyone, it is not possible to remember this particular address every time, right? You know, you cannot remember that hey 00ab come here, you cannot say that, right? You can say like y come here, you know. the same thing in the computer, like variable are nothing but are nothing but a placeholder. So now if I or if you want to access the value of 10, this particular 10 inside the box, okay, if you are if you are pointing this, if you want to fetch this particular variable, okay, so it is pretty much difficult for a computer to remember this big address, okay, which will be in the hexadecimal or any other format, right? But it is possible to remember that y is something which is referencing, y is something which is referencing or pointing to a variable which is having this address, correct? Okay. So so that is why that is why the variable is just a container to store your information. Okay. Yes or no? This is clear. Like a placeholder at that address, so placeholder is nothing but a box, ekta. Okay, so box address I mean to say, right? Now, so if you do square 10, okay, if I'm doing here, let's say if I'm doing, forget about this everything else. Now if I'm calling my function with square of 10, right? Okay, so if you do square of 10, then you are not passing the actual reference value over that, okay, you are not passing any value over that, okay, okay, okay. So you are just passing the value of that particular y. That is why the concept is known as pass by value, okay. You are not passing the any reference here, you are just passing the value which is holding into the y, right? Okay. So ultimately it will do the same now. If you do the square 10, if you do the, like if you do this square of y, okay, so you are not passing this particular reference anywhere, okay, you are just passing the pointer, or you are just passing the direction that will holding that. If you want to fetch this particular value, you have to go here and you can fetch that, okay. So you are not passing the actual any reference here, you are just passing the copy, है ना, you are just passing the variable here. So that is why it is called as, this concept is known as my pass by value. Cool. Okay. Okay. So for an example, again, if I'm doing or if I'm taking the same example here, then suppose for an example I'm doing square of x. Cool. Okay. So if you pass this in some variable x na, then there is another variable which will be get created by x, which was also referencing to the same location. Okay. So let's say if I'm having my let y is equals to 10, and if I'm doing, and if I'm calling my function which was having in the earlier case like this one, okay, square of x, if I'm doing that, if I'm doing that, then in the backend point, this, suppose if I'm my current my interpreter right now, it's particular this line, right? So what it will do, it will just go in the computer memory. This is my nothing but my box or container, it is holding my 10 value, okay. One pointer will be created which will be point to this particular address of my memory, right? And now if I'm doing this particular square of x, okay, or square of y in this particular case, and now if I'm doing this particular square of y, but in my particular square of this particular function declaration I use the x, right? So this particular x would get created, okay. If I'm calling that, then I'm just writing again so that you can able to, this was my function. Inside that I had written the square logic, okay. So now when I'm doing that, then y will be copied into the x. That does mean that the another variable of x would get created, it will be again point to the same variable, है ना? Okay. So if you pass this, so if you pass this into some variable x na, so we have passed this into the x, right? Okay. So if you do this na, then there is another variable that is created, that has created, which was my x in this particular point, which will be created by x, which was referencing to the same value. It will be again referencing to the same value, okay, or the same location, okay. So hence this concept name known as the my pass by value, okay. Okay. Now if I want to, like, let's debug further, then if I'm doing that, then suppose if I have square here my x, you know, and if I'm holding x is equals to x into x, and if I'm having return x here, okay, I was having that, and I was having y is equals to 10, and result was equals to square of y, This was my main program, right? This was my original program. So if you do this, then let's create finally what will be happening. So if you do this, then there will be another variable that got created with the value 10. So initially it will be having my y in my stack. It will be y equals to 10. Now if I'm doing that, then this particular value was having holding value 10. This particular having thing will be y's value will be get copied into this. Whatever I'm doing here, x equals to x into x, that will be my x will be my 100 here. I'm returning this x particular point to this particular point, then my x would be what? 100. So 100 would be assigned to result. And if I'm just consoling now my result, so now at this particular point, whenever you are exiting this particular point, then x would be vanished, right? Yes or no? Everyone agrees with that particular point? है ना? After I am exiting this particular point, then my x would be x would be destroyed. ठीक है? But before that, I had like given my alias to what? This result, right? So now this x would be vanished. Instead of that, my result would be having my value what? 100. Yes or no? ठीक है? If I'm just printing now console.log result console.log, why? That is why it is printing 110. That was the concept. ठीक है? Okay. Now this was particular thing that was happening inside in this particular thing in the backend. But so basically we just copied, like the essence of that was what? Basically we just copied the value in the variable. And the thumb rule here to note here in the JavaScript, that whenever you pass the variables, you know, it will be passed by values only in JavaScript function. Okay. I hope that would, like, everyone will not forget this particular point. Okay. Okay. Now, so now if you understood this, then let's tweak this particular thing. So now please note, please note at utmost attention that you have right now, that pass by value as a concept is supported by not all the data types that we are having in the JavaScript. Okay. So pass by, I'm just writing here, pass by value as a concept will not like it's not supported by all data types that we data type in JavaScript. Okay. So now the question comes that, sir, if not all data types, then how many data types are supported by pass by value so that I can use it? Yes or no? Right. So the supported data types are, so like let me ask you one question. I think so I have explained you in the earlier. Okay, let me just first write it and let me just then ask you. First, my like first data that is supported is number. These are my supported types. Huh? These are not supported. These are my supported types. Like first is my number, second is my string, and third would be my boolean. Okay. So can you name this particular three things in just one word? What does that type can, like, I can call primitive data type? I hope you remember. Okay. So this all thing, like, very good. What whichever, like whoever answer that, okay, I can like you are like learning in the right path. Okay. So these are nothing but called as a my primitive data type. Cool. So now what is the proof of that? So I have just told you now that this three types are supported, but what is the proof of that? Okay. So if I want to give you proof of that, if I want to give you a proof of that, then let me go into my developer tools. Let me give you a proof of that, right? So I've just come out of it. If I want to give you proof of that, then what I will do, I'll just create a particular variable. Okay, let me delete this particular thing. Let person, this is my variable. Inside that, this is my object. Okay, I'm creating my name as equals to Dipanshu. Okay, and age I'm taking 21. Cool. Okay, now I'm creating a function which will be like increase age. Okay. Inside that, I'm passing my entire object now, and I'm just doing my obj dot age plus is equals to 1. Okay. Okay. and I'm just doing my increase age. Inside that, I'm passing my person, and I'm just consoling out person. Can anyone tell me the output of this? Can anyone tell me the output of this? Can you? I This is my object, guys. It is not my only. I'm not asking about person dot age. I'm asking about person entire object. What would be output of this? Ekta says 21. Everyone else says 22. Dipanshu 22. Dipanshu 21. Okay, so tell me one thing only. How many of you guys are supporting that it will be giving me output of 21, and how many of you are telling me that it will be giving me output of 22? Okay. Option number A is 21. Option number B is 22. 22. Okay. B B. Okay, fine. So okay. So those who are telling, like, let me run this. Okay, you can see the output. See, it is giving me output of 22, not 21, right? Take a why. The question is why. See, this is my not primitive data type. This is my non-primitive data type. If you have remembered, right? So object and arrays are my non-primitive types, right? Right now, now. So since we got this output, because since we got this output, the actual object has been modified. So can I say that, like, here my actual object has been modified, right? So the question here is that, sir, why some data types are supported by pass by value and why some values are not supported by pass by values? Okay? So like you can basically see here na, that it is not supported by pass by value since it is my non-primitive data type, right? This is clear now. Okay? Okay, it is passing a reference. So my object, this is my person, this is my object. So my actual person was changing, but previous, if you can see, my y was not changing, right? I did pass my y to x, but my x was changing, not y, right? In previous case, in this particular case, I'm passing person, so my actual person is changing, not this particular obj, right? This particular basic difference of that. Okay, so hence it is proved that non-primitive data types are not supported by pass by values. So the question here is that simple, that why some data types are supported as pass by reference, such as objects and arrays, that is known as my non-primitive data types, and why some data types are supported by my pass by values, that are my primitive data types. Okay, so let me tell you that also. Let me tell you that also. Where is my pen? Okay, so let me tell you that also. So see, I'll be letting you to go in my OneNote. Okay. All right. So now Dipanshu, the array or object you can pass as the parameter of function, but I'm telling you that okay, and changes were not reflecting on the actual array. You can try again. Dipanshu, we'll try again. Okay. Let me just first explain you that. Okay. Then after you can relate with that. Now, see, I'm explaining about this pass by reference. Okay. In this particular point, let me take one example that we already taken. Let's say let my person is equals to my name that I had taken is equals to what? Dipanshu, and I had taken my age of Dipanshu, that was my 21, correct? And I'm just creating a function increase age. Inside that, I'm passing entire object, and I'm just doing obj dot age plus is equals to 1, right? Okay, and I'm just doing what, my increase age. Here I'm passing as person. Okay, so now if you do that, then here obj person are very same objects only, right? So here my obj and this person are very same objects only, right? So when you do pass by reference, actual changes will be make inside the passing variable. Okay, so if you change anything here, then changes will reflect to here also, right? As we already seen now. So the question is how. So now when you do x is equals to 10, so when you do this, like in this particular previous case, when we did x is equals to 10, then what was happening behind the scene? In the stack, it was storing x is equals to 10, right? Now suppose in this particular case I had taken the example of this, that I'm creating a person object. Okay, so if I'm doing that in space, in case of my object, then then let's say uh, was having this na, let person, it's right. So was having this point, right? So if I'm doing that, if I'm doing this, then this is my stack, and this is my heap. Okay, heap is again this is my stack and this is my heap. Heap is again a type of data structures, just like stack. We'll also look into it. Okay, so now just remember that let person, if you do, then this is my what, my variable. Yes or no? Person is my variable, na? है ना? So this person name would be stored here. This person name would be stored here. Okay. Now inside this particular heap, this particular basic will be stored like this: name, okay, inside this will be stored name Dipanshu, and my age is equals to 21. This would be stored, right? And the pointer of reference would be created this. The person would be pointing to heap of this particular address, right? So person variable will be stored in the stack. uh, Now, since it is referencing to an object, there was a space heap. There was a space heap where name and age basically stored, and address of that would be stored inside the person. So whatever address of this now, it will be this. Okay. Now, now the question here is, now next we define a function. Okay. So here if you see after this, so this particular point is clear now, that how to work around with this particular definition in case of objects, right? Okay. My voice is not audible. You can refresh your page. For everyone that is the case. For everyone that is the case. For everyone. Okay. Okay. Let me refresh it. Just a second. So is it audible now? Is it audible now, everyone? Okay. Okay. So let me share my screen once again. So I was telling you everyone that whenever you are doing that, let person is equal, the person name would be stored in this particular stack, you know, and whatever object we have defined, it will be stored in the heap, and the pointer of reference will be created here, and the like address of this particular heap would be stored inside this particular function. So this declaration part is clear now, how the basic of this working in the back, right? So when like in this is the case inside in case of my objects, right? Now after that, we have function, right? So after that we have a function. Take- if you see this function carefully, so the next thing that we have defined, that is a function increase age. Okay. So it basically accepts an argument obj. So we basically create another variable obj inside the stack. Okay. So now if you do here, so now if you see here, that will be another obj variable would be created like this. Okay. Okay. So when we did that, another variable that was called as my obj, that was created inside my stack, right? Right. So if you do this now, then what happened internally that JS engine will create obj variable and point towards the same thing. Okay, towards the same object that instead of copying or creating another copy of it, okay, it will be pointing to the same thing here instead of creating a copy. Okay, now when you did obj plus equals to 1, okay, it is pretty obvious that since obj and person are pointing to the same thing, so both will be updated, like both will have updated age or both will have the updated copy of that. Can I say that? Can I say that? So like here and heap is a type of data structure where you can store your objects. Okay, we'll not go in detail in that, right? Just like stack. Okay, now now okay, so now when you access the person, then the same object which was updated just now will be returned. Can I say that? Can I say that? That if I did this particular obj equals to obj date obj dot age plus equals to 1, then my obj was updated, but since my obj and person are the same thing, can if I'm consoling this person, then will I have the updated value of age? Okay, so here if you see here, I did obj plus dot age plus equals to 1, so internally it will be updating this age also. It will be 22. Okay, so after this particular point, this scope, after this scope, my obj would be destroyed, but my person will have the value of updated thing, right? So if you console.log person, it will be having the updated copy of it. So the output is clear why it was giving you the output of 22 instead of 21, right? Okay, so now JavaScript passes object by reference because the change to the function reflect outside of function also. Okay, so so far we have concluded that so far we have concluded that like if you do this now, that increase age person like this. Okay, if you do this particular thing, then यहाँ पे change हो गया था obj में, so it will pass by reference, right? So this is what we have concluded so far, right? Yes or no? Yes, yes. ठीक है. Okay, yes, this is for non primitive. It is known as my pass by reference. Okay, it is not completed here. Let me complete it first. Okay, so whenever we are passing object to a function, you are passing referencing, you are passing a reference, not the copy or the actual object that we had passed previously, right? So you are not passing the object over here, you are just basically create another variable which is also pointing towards the same object. Therefore the function can modify the properties of the object via its reference. How many of you are clear in this particular statement that I have just said? Hariharan, there is no possibility of changing keys. Okay? Can you change the key of any object? You can just change the value of it. You cannot change the keys, right? Right. So now, if I want to, if I'll just ask one another question of this. Okay, let me see how many of you guys are able to answer that. So now there are two things. Okay, passing the objects and passing the reference to the object. Okay. However, you cannot change the reference passed into the function. Okay. What does I mean by that is, let me code that. Let me code that, and let me ask you a question. Yeah, yeah, I'm explaining. I'm explaining. Okay. So here I'm doing let person is equals to, I think so we had the same code, right? Yeah, this one. Okay. So now this was my obj dot age plus is equals to 1 here. Now I'm doing what? Obj is equals to, I'm creating another object of that name Nilanjan and age 32. Okay, hypothetically. cool. Okay, and I'm doing the my increase age person and console.log person. How, what would be the output of this? What would be the output of this? Everyone, please think what would be the output of this. Please don't run and tell me. Do not run it right now. I'll explain that. What would be the output of this? Think about it. Don't worry. Okay, we'll have a time. Dipanshu and 22. Nilanjan and 32. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. I will bet you that today your JavaScript concept would be like uh, earthquake aa jayega, right? So this concept would be like that much of astonishing when you know do, like when you ask this kind of question to any senior person, that they will also get confused. In today's last topic would be our closure. Those topic is like uh, pretty pretty not known to everyone in the senior in the seniors, right? Now, if I'm running this, if I do run this, okay, let me run it. You can see my output is Dipanshu and 22. Okay, okay. Now, so actually in JavaScript there is like there is not a concept of pass by reference. It is a myth. I'll explain that how. I'll explain that how. Okay. So now, whatever we have learned till now. Okay. So let me show you. Let me show you. Just a second. So whatever we have learned till now in this particular thing, let's say, where was it? Yeah, this one. Okay. So let me clear it up. Okay. Now, so up to this point, what was happening? So for every for anyone that was like having some issues in that also, please focus. Now I'm repeating everything once again, and then I'll ask you one question that will be like blow your mind. All right. So now in this particular thing, this was my example of my pass by reference. So in this particular thing, uh, first of all, my let person, so my stack would be get created. This is my stack. Inside that, whatever my variable name that will be stored, let's say my person. This is my heap. Okay, to store objects, there is a space called as heap. All right, you cannot store object in the stack. Okay, why, how, we'll see. But right now just remember that you cannot store any object in the stack. You can just store an object in the heap, just as of this case, right? Okay, so now this person object what we had, it will be stored here. So name would be Dipanshu and age would be 21. This will be stored here. Cool. Okay, and the pointing to this would be here, and the address of this would be stored here. Okay, now we had this particular function called as increase age. In that we had obj, so obj would be getting created here because we have passed person to this particular thing. So this obj would be getting created here. It will again point to the same thing. So both of the objects are pointing to the ultimately same thing. That will be this much. Okay, okay, this is what we have seen just now, right? So here person is referencing to the object when you called function in which you pass a function, right? So what I just said that so this person is referencing to the object, to the object when you called function in which you pass a function. Okay, this function we have called, inside that we have passed a object. This will be what, this is the this only, right? So this both are having the same thing, just like this. They will be shared reference of that, right? Okay, so the so here my obj is basically starts pointing to the very same object. So okay, so obj would be pointing to the same object. Okay, so now basically like incremented age, this is my incremented age. So incremented age property will be updated as 22 now. And when we did log person, when we did log person, that is why it was printing the name and age as like we have seen earlier. Okay, Nilanjan. Okay, this is what we have just seen so far. Okay, now I'll just tweak something a bit and you will enjoy it. Nilanjan, am I clear up to this point? Please be quick. Okay. Okay, now what I did here is like I'll introduce another line of code here. Okay, so what I'll do instead of this, let me write it. Instead of, okay, now here I'll write another line, that is my obj is equals to name is equals to Prakshal, and my age is like 14. Okay. 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 This is what we did in the program, right? So now creating part is same. This creation part is everything is same. Okay. For object person also, person object and obj both are pointing to the same object, that is also same thing, right, in the heap. Okay. Now now the moment you come here, the moment you come here, your obj dot age plus is equals to 1. Okay, so the moment you come here, you will observe that uh, what happened inside is that a new object got like, here my new object was got created. So the obj dot age plus equals to 1, so it will update my age to 21 to 22, right? And then after here, it will create another object. Okay, so instead of this pointing here, this was my original heap, right? Person and obj both pointing here. The moment I'm coming here, it will observe that it is another object. Okay, so it will stop pointing to this, it will start pointing to another object. It create with the name of Prakshal and age 14. Okay. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Like I have not drawn it pretty well, but I think so you guys can relate with it, right? So initially obj and person would be both pointing to here, up to this line, up to this line. After the moment you come into this line, you will observe that it is another object. It will stop pointing here, it will start pointing to this. Okay. Okay. Okay, and whenever you are returning to your object, okay, whenever like this increment or lock person is also like right now pointing to which object, this object, right? Age 22. Okay, that is why in the output window it has printed 22, right? Okay, so the concept to learn here was that the moment you do this, what happened inside that, like it is creating a new object, है ना? It is creating a new object, and so like here a new object is created in the heap with the same of mine, like Prakshal and age of 14, and new object is pointing to that thing. So it is not like the actual object that was got changed, right? So that is why I was saying pass by reference is a myth in JavaScript. So what actually happened was object was just a reference. It was not the actual object, right? So it is created new object starting pointing to over that, right? Okay. So that is it is clear. It is clear. So I'll give you a program for output. Okay, so how to access the newly created object? You cannot access it, Ekta. If you want to access it, then you have to do console.log here obj. Okay, here you have to write console.log obj. You will get this object. Okay, isn't parameter obj referencing to the person? Parameter obj, yeah, it was referencing to this particular point of this, but now I have another object, right? This much, so it has created new object for the stop pointing to this. That's what I said, that obj inside the function didn't give output result Nilanjan 32. It was related to the scope. No, I'll do that. Okay, let me do that. I was going into the Mozilla also. Let me go that. You can see now. Okay. So now if you do here console.log obj. Okay. Now let me see what it will get print. Right. So see, it is printing Nilanjan 32. Okay, this obj ekta, right? And this person was pointing the same thing that we already seen with the Dipanshu, right? Now, since this is clear to you, I'll just tweak a thing, and 90% of people will know mistake in this. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, so now I'll just creating this up, clear this up. Okay, Dipanshu, I think you got the output now. Nilanjan 32. Okay, now I'll just create let person. Okay, let me change in that also, right? So it will be like Dipanshu 21, increase age. This I'm just doing this about this. Okay. Now tell me what will be my output. If you got understood what we have just explained, okay, this output should be true for everyone. But I'll bet you that most of people will mistake in this. Not you. Many of senior developers would also like mistake in this particular point. Please tell me output of this. Okay, I'm not printing this much. Okay, now tell me the output of person only. Okay, let's see. See, it is printing what? Dipanshu and 21. If I'm doing here for your reference, console dot log obj here. Okay, if I'm doing that, see here in the obj object here, it is printing what? Nilanjan and 32. All right, 33. Sorry, because age is incrementing, right? And person is still pointing to the same thing. I hope this is clear. I hope this is clear. It should be clear. Got it? Okay. Concept is clear. Okay. Okay. Now, if you are working, ask this same question to your senior or to your fellow mate, and see the the thing they are expecting in this particular output. Okay. Most of people will mistake in this, right? Okay, Sharad. Okay, I'm explaining again to you. Okay, so see, now whenever this increase age of person, right now my person is holding what? This object, right? This person will point to this object, right? Whenever you are going inside this particular thing, obj, so obj will again point to the same thing, right? Yes or no, Sharad? Right? Now if you are entering here, if you are entering in this particular line, so the new object, if you are your JS engine will observe that it's a new object, right? So obj will stop pointing to this object, it will start pointing to this object. Okay, this obj dot age plus 1 is equals to 1, it will increment age in this, not in this. Okay, and you are doing console.log obj, it will print this, and it will got expired after this much. Okay, after this block. But the person originally was pointing to this much, now also it is pointing to this much, right? Okay, that is why it is printing the output of Dipanshu 21. Okay, I hope I am clear. Okay, okay, now okay, okay, great. So now what I'm doing, I'm just sharing my screen again. Fine. Oh, need break, Suraj? Too early. Too early to say. Okay. Please wait for another 20 minutes, right? No, Joseph, it should not 22, right? Because see, if you see in the code now that let me show you. Okay. Let me show you. So our code was this, right, Joseph? Just a second. Our code was this, right? So this obj plus one, to which object it will do plus one? This one or this one? That is the question, right? So you are telling me that if your output is 22, it should be 22 here. Okay. So ideally, technically, you are saying that this obj will point to this object, but it will not, right? Because see, this is new initialization here, right? Okay. That is why this particular obj age 1, it is not for this, it is for this. Cool. Okay. Now, so the next topic for you for today is again pretty simple, but it is important, right? It is known as your pure function and impure function. Okay. Okay. Cool. Now, so remember every time there are only three things to learn in this particular pure and impure, right? So if I'm doing this in this particular pure function, okay, so there are one, two, three things that I need to run. Not three, there is only two, to be honest, right? So the first thing that to remember here, it's like pure function is always predictable. Second is the pure function has no side effects. Just hold on for a 10 minutes, okay? You will get to understand what I mean to say. Next is my impure function. In this particular impure function, the first thing to note is it is unpredictable and it has side effects. Now, what does that mean? I'll explain you. Okay. So now, suppose just tell me output of this. Okay, I'm just sharing my screen. Okay. So now, if I'm clearing this everything up, I will just write it function at inside that I'm taking two arguments x comma y. Inside this, I'm doing return x plus y. Okay, and here I'm doing console dot log add 2 comma 2. Okay. 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 So now tell me what would be the output of this. What will be the output of this? Okay. Everyone says 4. Okay. Great. You are right. Okay. Let me run this. It is 4. Right. So it is predictable, right? Output is pretty predictable. The here that is 4. Yes or no? Now compared to this, I forgot to copy the previous code, but I'll manage somehow. And save this today's file, the 1st of June, right? 1st of June.js. Topic is my pure and impure function. Just a second. Pure pure function. Now, people tell me now that suppose if I having this function add again, instead is again I'm taking two parameters or arguments. Inside that, I'm taking as return x plus y. Okay. Okay. It was previously we had taken this, right? Now what I'm doing it, now what I'm doing it, right? Let random is equals to uh, math dot random plus or into 10. Okay. Into 10. Okay. Okay. And after that I'm returning x plus y plus random. So random here, this math dot random here, it will generate a random number. It will generate a random number between 0 to 1. Okay, I'm writing it here. So math dot random will generate random number between 0 to 1. Why I have written this? Because 0 will not get like 0.1, 0.2, that those would be your output, not 0. Okay? That is why it is loosely bound. 1 can be that. Okay? That is why I have taken this as a tightly bound. Okay? So it will generate a number between 0 and 1. It will multiply with 10. So so now tell me the output of this. So now if I'm calling this with like console.log add 2 comma 2, if I'm doing this now, can you tell me the output of this? Can anyone tell me the output of this? Think about it. Let me drink some water till then. Okay, can you tell me the output of this? No, right? It will be not predictable. Okay, if I'm doing this, it is right now it is producing this much. Now again if I'm doing this, it is now this much. Now again I'm doing this, it is now this much. So every time it is different, right? है ना? Right? So it is not predictable. Can I say that it is not predictable? Right? Okay. Okay. So we cannot predict the output. Hence, we do not know what this random function, like why we don't know, since we don't know what this random function will generate a number. Right. Right. But I can tell you, like I can tell that, see, this, since this math dot number will generate output of 0 loosely bound, 1 tightly bound, then I can say like math dot random into 10 will generate generate my output or generate my random number between 1 to 10. Can I say that? Can I say that every time? है ना? Right? Because it is not predictable, because see math dot random function, it will generate any number. Okay, it will generate any number between this 0 to 1. So every time it will generate any number, you don't know what the number is. Okay, previously you knew that you have to just add 2 plus 2. That is why my output was predictable, but here it is not. Okay. Okay, I can understand this. Okay, fine. Now, so what are the side effects of, so these are like predictable and non-predictable is understood, right? The first point of pure and impure, right? Now we will go to the second point. We'll go to the second point of it, that is known as my side effects, right? So what I mean by side effects is, let's say if I am having where global variable is equals to 1. Okay, I'm having my function add x comma y. Inside that, I'm having return x plus y plus global variable. Okay, okay. And here I'm having console dot log add 2 comma 2. Right. Okay. Now, what will be the output of this? 6. Are you sure? 5. Right. Okay. Let me run this. See, it is 5. So now the thing to note here is, although my output is predictable here, okay, it is 5. Uh, it was predictable, and it is not doing anything wrong here. But see, if I'm doing here like this, global variable is equals to 0. Now what will be my output? 4. है ना? ठीक है? So although my output is predictable here, you can do that. It is perfectly fine with the syntax, but it is not correct in comparison. Like if I'm going with the ethics. Okay? So why? Because see, this was my global variable. Global variable scope would be, should not, like it, you can access it inside the function, but it should be restricted to just accessing, not mutating it. You have changed my variable, right? Okay, it is logically it's wrong, है ना? Logically it is wrong na, right? Although you are generating output, but suppose let's say I have created this variable to use in perfect like perfect function, है ना? But now since you have changed it, I will not get my proper output, right? So you have changed my variable outside of the scope. Okay, okay, it should not change in this particular scope, it should have changed in this scope. Okay, okay, not in this particular function. Although it's logically it's right, you will not have any error, you will generate your output, but it is known as your silent error, है ना? It is a type of your silent error. Okay, so this function has like some side effects as per my opinion. It is actually changing, or like we can say like mutating a variable called as global variable outside of the function scope, right? So although like it's, I already told you that you can do that, but it is not the best practice to do that, right? So what impure function basically does is, impure function will change the state of the variable outside of the scope, and it will always return different output if we pass same input multiple number of times. Okay, if I want to explore, if I want to explain this pretty much, then but what if we have such requirements in the function? Priyanshu, right now I'm assuming that you don't have any requirement of this. Okay, if you have requirement of this, then you should not use global variable. Okay, it is logically it's wrong. Okay, over there you have to use something else, some other concept, not this. Okay, you, at the end of the day, I'm repeating once again in this particular session, I don't know in previous sessions how many times I have repeated that coding is just not getting your output done, है ना? Coding is following the best practice, doing with the best code. ठीक है? It's not only about the output. Okay, now yes, this was the impure function because it has a side effect, right? Now I'm doing, wait a minute, I think I have lost my mouse, my cursor is not working. Just hold on a friend, hold on a minute, hold on a minute. I'm replacing my mouse, just hold on for a minute. Okay, okay, yeah, you can take break. Not actually, just hold on for 2 minutes. Okay, just 2 minutes. Okay, so I've connected my mouse now. So now what I was telling you that, what I was telling you that, suppose if I have to explain you this with the different example, right? So what I will do, I'll just write it like let mutate number is equals to 0, and I'll have my const impure function. Okay, cool. Okay, and I will have my return mutate number plus is equals to number. Okay, and outside of that, I'll have my console dot log impure function. I'm calling it with the parameter phi, and I'm again calling it with the parameter phi. So can anyone tell me what will be the output of this two? Can anyone tell me what will be the output of this two? Everyone, please try. Okay, let's try it. Okay, now see, our my output is 5 and 10. Okay, because like I don't have to explain this, right? You will better understand this, because this is what muted number is equal to muted number plus number, right? So every time it will be like a plus muted number, that will be 0 plus 5. So first in the this first output I have got the output of 5, right? Because since it was in my global scope, I will have persisted in the like muted number is equals to 5. Second if I'll call, then it will do 5 plus 5. Okay, that is why it will returning me output of 10. So see, every time my output is changing, right? Every time my output is changing, if I'm doing for another two times, so every time my output is changed, right? है ना? So basically, ideally, a function should return. So if you work in the corporate section, na, then what this function will do, you don't know about it. Okay. Right now, it's just having one line and you know that it is just returning me some of that. But in the corporate world, you don't know actually what this particular function will do. Okay. So every time it will giving me the some different result for the same input, right? So it is worrying thing, right? It is not a proper thing to do. Okay. No, no, Santosh, we are not like no, it is perfectly wrong. Like in project, every function is not a impure function. It is pure function, not impure. Variable persist. Yeah, this variable will have the same result. That's what you meant, Joseph. If yes, then yes, you are right. Okay. This muted number will persist. Okay. So if you print here console dot log mutate number, you can have the output of that, right? Okay. Okay. It is global scope. This is of global scope. This is having local scope. Okay, fine. So all for impure and pure function. Okay. After the break, I'm giving you break now. After the break, we will be learning closures. Okay. Eat whatever you want to eat. Drink whatever you want to drink. Don't miss closures. Okay. I cannot. I cannot tell you how important that is. Many of your senior people will also know don't know. If I'm like if I will asking you the question in the closures for class just after 5 to 10 minutes, okay, after the break, I will bet you most of the senior people of yours who will be working with you, they are not aware about this fact, right? About the hosting also, I hope you remember hosting, that we played around with the variables and the functions and different kind of things that we did, right? They will also not know about that. Okay, try this much. Okay, try to ask the hosting questions that we did in the class. Try to ask that particular questions with your senior people. Okay, or your teachers if you are studying right now. Teachers, I'm sure they will not aware about it. I will not, but most of senior people will also don't know about it. All right, so we'll take break for now for 15 minutes, right? Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Or is pretty much clear? Clear है ना? ठीक है? Great. चलो. So now let me go in this. Okay, fine. ठीक है. So yeah, we'll take break till 15 minutes. Okay, can you please post the examples with us so that we can go ahead to go through again? Yeah, I'll sure do that, Hariharan. I'll sure do that. Okay, so for the impure and pure function I have copied that. Okay, but for the pass by value, pass by reference, I haven't, but I'll find some way to do that also. Okay, don't worry about it. So we'll take break till 9. It's right. Yeah, yeah. So we'll take break till 9:43. I shall 9:43, right? So we'll right now take a break. 9:43. Am I audible, guys? Yes or no? Am I audible? Okay. So let's start with the closures. Okay. Just a second. Okay. So let's start with the closures, right? Fine. So what does the closure mean? I hope everyone online right now. Everyone came back after your dinner. Everybody, yes or no? Fine. So this is like I cannot tell you how important this is, right? Fine. Okay. Closures. Fine. So now, what does this closure mean? So the closure means is pretty simple. If you understand it, if you cannot, then it's really hard. Okay. So before we understand this closure, there are two things that we need to take care of. There are two concepts that you should know. Okay. We we know this, but let me revise this so that you can understand it well, right? There are two nested concepts that needs to be done. So in order to learn that, I have shared my screen now. Okay, just a second. Hmm. Lyric, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen, people? Huh? Okay. So now what I'll do, I will create a function called as greet. Inside this particular function, I'll create another function, display name. Yes, we have covered this in earlier sessions. This is just a revision of that. I'm just doing console.log. I the name. Okay, or else I can pass this name here, not there, right? Now now what I'll do, I'll just write it display name, okay, like this. Okay, so this is the thing that I'm doing right now. Okay, can anyone from you tell me the output of this? Please tell me the output of this. Okay, see, this is hi Dipanshu, right? Fine. So hi Dipanshu is my output, right? Now this is something known as my what? This concept is known as my nested function. Okay, why? Because I have used function inside my function, right? Okay. So this is our first thing that you need to take care of, that you need to know in order to learn the closures. The second thing is something known as the returning a function. Okay, so JavaScript function are pretty much beautiful. So now what I'm doing, function greet. Yeah, let me do one thing. Let me do one thing. First copy this. Closures. Pasted that. Now I will copy this here. Now what I'm doing, instead of calling my function name here, I will return this, right? Okay. We'll hold it down in let result is equals to this. Okay, right? I am printing console.log result. Can anyone tell me the output now? Can anyone tell me the output now? Think about it and then see. I have not called the function here. Okay? Previously it was this. I have not called my function here. Okay? Okay? So this thing will return a function code. Okay? It is my function. Okay? It will return my entire function, right? Okay? So this result will hold the entire function. Now if I'm doing console.log uh result, okay, okay. So now just result, right, like this. Can anyone tell me the output now? Okay, so since this result was having a function, right, so I have just called my function so that it will be get executed. If you now call this, see this console.log result will print down the entire function. Now I have called this display name function by just this invoking thing. Now it will be calling your function. So if you know this two things, these two things, then you are good to understand the closures. Okay, so because this was the prerequisite to understand the closures, right? Okay, so can I start with the closures? Okay, Joseph, result is first. Okay, I'm repeating that. So Joseph, if you have observed, see, this is my function display name, right? I have returned display name. I have not invoked it, right? I have not invoked that. Okay, right? So this display name entire function would be returned to this result. Okay, I have just did console.log result. So, but obvious thing na that I have returned that, so it will just print the entire function code, right? And since I know that this result will having the function, so I have just called it how to call a function that you already know. Okay, right? Can I move further, Joseph? Got it now, Joseph? Cool. Now what I will do, I will just share, just a second, give me a moment. Okay, where was my window? Okay, yeah, this much. So I'll just share my OneNote. I will just share my OneNote. Okay, so now uh pay your attention here, just pay your attention here, that okay, fine. So now I'll just do one thing, instead of going with the theory first, I'll just let you know about this. Okay, suppose instead of this I am having this much. What, I'm just creating my function, let's say my function will be x. Okay, inside this my function, I have my variable a is equals to, let's say, anything like 8. Okay, now after that I have my function, that is my y. Inside that I am having console dot log a. Cool. Okay, now after that, here I'm invoking my function, and here I'm invoking my function x. Can anyone tell me what would be my output here? Seems pretty interesting, right? Okay, so let's run it. See, at all have guessed right. It will be printed output of 8. Cool. Now, so this was the closure. Okay, this is something known as a closure. All right, but this could be like highly complicated thing if I'll give you some more detailed problem. But before that, let us understand it with utmost details, right? So closures basically mean that a function bind together with it with its lexical environment. Now the question comes, what the hell is the lexical environment? So remember, in the previous topic, we I drawn the stack and the heap, right? So this kind of particular variables, variable entries, its values in the stack and the heap, this is known as my lexical environment. Okay, so the what does this closure means? The closures means that a function along with the lexical environment is something known as my closure. Okay, okay, okay. So in this particular case, I this is my y, right? This is my y, and this is my x. Okay, so this, as soon as I'm calling this y will have access of what? This function along with this variable. Yes or no? Right, right. Okay. So if I'm returning this y from here, if I'm returning this y from here, I'll show you just in a while. This will be having excess of this much, not just this much, right? I'll let you know in the detail. But before that, let me show you in terms of the MDN terms. Okay, let me show you the definition of the closure in the MDN docs. Okay, so right now I guess so you can see my screen of Mozilla, right? Yes or no? For everyone, you can see my browser, right? So I'm just doing closures MDN. Okay, can you see this particular thing of closures that I have opened this site, right? So you can see here a closure is a combination of a function bundled together, that means along with the references to its surrounding state, or else it's also known as my lexical environment, right? In other words, a closures give you access to an outer function scope from an inner function. In JavaScript, closures are created every time a function is created at a function creation time. So forget about everything else, just focus on this much, right? So the closure is a combination of your function along with its lexical environment. Okay, so whenever your interviewer will ask what is a closure, don't tell just that like this is a closure. That's a call whenever we are incrementing our account, it will form a closure. Don't tell that. Okay, I'll give you example. You can explain that in bit detail, right? So let me show you in the developer now, developer tools, right? So now we were at this particular problem. Now I'll let you know, I'll let you know in detail what does that particular thing means, right? Okay. So now if you just put a debugger here, if you just put a debugger here, I'll show you now. Let's say if we are working with the debugger, let's just close this particular thing. Let's just close this particular thing. Let me go with the uh, browser, right? Yes, Chrome. Okay, just a second. I'm opening my Chrome. Okay, just a second. Let me know once you can see the screen of my Chrome. Can you see it? Can you see the console of the Chrome? No? Yes or no? For many people, they are saying no. Let me share it once again. Can you see it now? Can you see it now, everyone? है ना? For everyone, that is yes now. Okay. So I will just put a debugger here. I have put the debugger here. Let me run this down. Okay. And let me close this. Let me hide this. Now, see, this was our code. Okay. A is equals to 8. So in this particular global, you can see somewhere your A will be created, right? I need not to show and like show where the A is, right? Okay, that you will find, right? Will not waste time in that. Okay, that will make sense. Or you want to see the variable A? Okay, that we already did many times in the previous class, right? Now, now this is my another function, right? Okay, inside this, I am right now standing in the function y, which is a child of function x. Okay, right? So if you just see here, then there is a thing called as closure. Can you see here? Okay, so if you expand that, you can see this was your parent function, है ना? So your function name along with its lexical environment, that means your variable. Okay, whatever you will have inside this particular scope, that will be enclosed in the closure. Okay, so now if you just do this, it will be console.log a, it will print this particular a here. That is the reason why it was not present here in the global. Cool. Okay, so it will look something like that. Now the question lies in, that we saw that a closure will return a function with its lexical scope. Now suppose we have 1,000 lines of code. Okay, so let's say I'm just tweaking my program a bit. I'm just tweaking my program a bit, and will do, uh, instead of consoling here, instead of consoling here, or else instead of calling here, I'll just return it. Okay, return y, right? And uh, I'll do here where z equals to x. Okay, and after that I'm doing console.log z. Okay, can anyone tell me the output of this now? Can anyone tell me the output of this now? We just did that. Don't, please see carefully. We are not in hurry. We are not in rush, guys. Please calm down. See the question properly and then answer. Na? We just seen that, right? We have just seen that just 10 minutes before, right? Yes or no? Okay. Now, now what I'm doing here, that let me just execute that. Okay. See, the debugger does not execute, right? Because we have not called our function y. This is clear. This is clear, right? Okay. So whatever your function definition was, it has returned that. Yes or no? Right? है ना? Okay. Now, now the question lies in that, suppose we have 1,000 lines of code here, and at some point of our program, we just want to call our function z. Okay, since we know that this z is my function now, I want to call this function z whenever I want after my 1,000 lines of code, right? So it will, like, if I'm doing it like this. Okay, was my consoling of this was my function. Okay, it will be into my function body. Right now, suppose think like that I have thousands lines of code here, right? And after that, I'm invoking this Z. Okay, I should call my Z right like this, na? Yes or no? Okay. So after thousands lines of code, suppose I'm calling my Z here. So will it try to find A? Okay, if I'm calling my Z, okay. So I will just show you a bit output. Okay, it was doing what? Console.log A, right? So now if I'm doing it, if I'm doing it, just a second, like this. Okay. So before it was printing a body because I have not called my function. Now I'm calling my function, right? So it will try to find my A, right? Yes or no? Right? So will it try to like will it able to find it or not? Will it try to find it or not? See, but my question here is pretty simple. If I'm running it, see it is trying to find my A, but technically, if I'm just let me go, that's the okay, fine. Just a second. Okay, let me remove this debugger. Now, okay, if I'm removing this debugger, then now it is doing what? Console.log A, but technically, as soon as I'm coming out of this A should be destroyed, right? Yes or no? You know, and now I'm not calling X. I'm not calling X. I'm calling my Y. If you see here, I'm calling Y. You know, by calling X, by calling this X, I was able to get my Y. Right now, this is a time to call my Y. Right. So if I'm calling my Y, then A will it find or not? Will it able to find or not? And my question is that will it be undefined? Will it be null? Will it be not defined? Or will it print some other value? Please try to think. See, technically, as far as we know, till now, it should destroy after this particular block scope. Yes or no? है ना? Right? Right? If I am calling this X, then I can say that this where A should be preserved in this particular X. Right? But I'm not calling X. I'm calling Y, which was returned here. Okay? Now tell me, will it be able to access it or not? Everyone. Okay. See now I tried a lot to misguide you, but let me tell you what it will print, right? Okay. So my question was this. Okay, after the thousand line, I'm printing this, right? If you see this, let me remove this debugger for a while. Okay, it is printing it, right? It is printing it. So can I say that this A value was preserved somewhere, and whenever I'm calling this Z, or can I say like whenever I'm calling this Y again, this A value it preserved? Can I say that? Can I say that? Right? Right? Okay. So now what the thing here doing is in the backend is, so as soon as I called that particular Z function, right? So like functions are so beautiful in JavaScript. So when they return they still maintains, when they return that particular y, return y, they still maintains their lexical scope. They remember where they actually present at previously, right? Although there is no uh, x now, there will be no x now, function x now, but y function will remember that its lexical scope, okay, and where it came from. So it will remember basically that there was something called as a. So in simple words, if you return this y, right, so not just the code will it return, but the closure will return also. Okay, so that's why I call that function along with its lexical scope. When it will return, it is something called as closure. So here it was put inside the z. Okay, if you see here, it was put inside this particular closure, what put inside this particular z, right? So when you execute z somewhere else in your program, it still remembers the reference of a, that it was having value what, 8, and it will print it. Okay, okay, right? Okay, so can't we use instead of where here? You can use anything you want. Okay, so when we try return y, we return the closure of y. Yes, we return the closure of y. Okay, not just the function, but function along with its lexical scope. Parag, you can try that. The output will be the same. Okay, so see, people are trying me to put this inside my let, right? Okay, if I'm doing that, my output will be the same. Okay, it's not about the scope of the variable. Okay, it's about the lexical scope or lexical environment of the function. I hope I'm making sense, right? It is just like kg of the closure. Okay, I will go with the step by step one more time, right? Can you explain? Okay, so forget about the lexical scope. Okay, Santosh, forget about the lexical scope. Lexical, like I mean lexical by means that whatever it is having in that particular scope. So what is the scope of x? What is the inside the scope of x? Suppose if I am having five variables like this, a b c d e, so all that will be the lexical scope of that, or lexical environment of that. Okay, okay. So if I'm returning y, Rias, then return y is what? Y is what here? Your function, right? Okay, I haven't called my function, so this y, this code will be returned along with its scope to this z. Okay, so if I'm calling z anywhere in my program, this a would be accessible. Okay, okay. Now, now suppose, suppose for an example, if I'm having some different thing, let's say now some like here, some like there are some many developers who are doing like this. Instead of return y here, will be doing like this. Okay, okay. So is this valid syntax or not in JavaScript? We already looked upon that. We already seen that. It is valid or not? In the arrow function lecture, we seen this kind of things. Okay, if you run this, you can also get the same output. Okay, it's just a way of writing. So previously, what we have a function and we return that, and now we are just returning your function like this. Whatsoever makes difference in this, right? But it's not what, it's not the correct way. No, it's correct way. You can see now it's where it's throwing some error. No, na, it's valid. Okay, 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 okay. So that was just no, a bit revise what we had in that particular thing. Now there are some no, the corner cases, or we can say some exceptions, or we can say some advanced thing that we need to learn in closures. That are we no going to learn right now, right? So suppose if I'm having my function like this, function x, like this. Okay, if I'm having, and inside that my variable I'm having already, I'll just making it pretty simple so that everyone will not get confused. Oh, that is a mistake of no using the Chrome. I need to remember that I need not to press enter, I need to press shift enter. Okay, otherwise it will show some error just as previous. Cool. Now what I'm doing, I'm just doing it like a equals to 100. Okay, here I'm doing here a equals to 100 or 120. Okay, anything like that, 120, right? I'm doing that, and after that, after that, I'm having this particular where equals to where z equals to x, console.log z and z. Okay. Now tell me, people, what will be my output of this? Tell me what would be the output of this. It could be 8 or 120 or not defined or undefined or null. What it should be? Think carefully. We have a plenty much time. Okay, we are not in rush. We are not in rush. Think so patiently. Okay, I'll not rush anything. Please do not try to execute your code in your browser right now. Just try to think in your mind and then tell me. Okay, do not run this, otherwise you will not get it, the concept. Okay, so a lot of people are telling 8, a lot of people are telling 120, very few people are telling undefined. Okay, now now if you run this, if you run this, you can see your output is what, 120, right? But the thing here, the thing here to note is, the thing here to note is, okay, so you can ask this particular question to your senior also. All right, so what no, what the internal thing going here was that the reference of a will be there, value, but we are not bother about a. Okay, it was not garbage collected, है ना? It will be still there in memory. So what I mean to say here is, you have your let a equals to 8, your function y equals to console.log a, your a was changed to 120, and you are now returning to y. Now at this particular point of time, what is your function? This is your function. What is your lexical environment? That does mean that what is your value of a right now? 120, right? So with this particular values, it will return this function bundled with your lexical environment to z. Okay, this z, it will assign this particular thing to z, and whenever you are calling this, it will print your output as 120. Okay, all right, cool. Okay na? Okay, now if since you understood this, let me just first copy this much, and let me put it down in here. Okay, fine. Now okay, Chandrakant, why 120? So Chandrakant, you got why it was 8 before, why it was returning 8 before. If I had not this, just this much, it will return 8, right? Right? Why? Because at this particular point of time, you are trying to find your function, you are trying to find your lexical environment. This both bundled thing would be written here as a closure, right? है ना? And this console.log z would be print your function body. Whenever you call this function, it will try to find the a inside your closure. So inside your closure, you will have your a as 8, right? Similarly, now your a would be replaced with 120, because now your a has been updated before you return thing, right? Okay, that is why it is giving you output of 120. Okay, now what my question here is, suppose I am having one more layer. Let's say I'm having this. I'll cut this. I'll have function z here. Okay, and inside this I am having this code. Inside that I'm having this code, right? Okay, so let me configure it. Just a second. So if I'm having this, and I need to also call this now. Just a second. Here I'm having my where b is equals to 90. Fine. Inside is my function x. I'm having let a equals to 8, or else I can also take it my where. That does not make any difference, people, for now, right? I'm having my function y. Here I'm consoling my a comma b, right? And I'm doing here the calling of y. Okay, and I'm just removing this everything. I'm just removing this everything, and outside of this function x, I'm calling my function x. Okay, and outside of my function z, I'm calling my function z. Will it make sense? Will it make sense? Or else I can also take this function as my grandparent. This is my parent. This is my child. Okay, I'm calling my child. This is my parent. This is my grandparent, or else you can say parents of parent, right? Okay, okay. So can anyone tell me output of this? Can anyone tell me output of this much? Everyone, please think. Please think, na. Okay, so let's try to run this. Okay, it is printing 8 and 90. Now I'll show you something which is pretty much interesting, right? So inside that I'm putting my debug, okay, at the first point of time, right? Now, now see, now what we'll do, inside this grandparent we have b. Okay, so you can see this b is right now undefined, right? B will be filled with the 90. Okay, okay. I'm calling my parent, since this is my function, as like if you are not calling your function, apart from that it will not execute, right? It will just have your memory inside your local thing, right? So if I'm calling this function, I'll go, this function will be called like a equals to 8. A will be undefined right now, right? This is your child. Okay, now you are calling your child. So see, inside this function child, you can see the closure of two things, right? One closure will be found with the parent with its lexical scope. So the parent scope is what? A, and this function, right? Yes or no? So inside this function child, your parent scope is what? 8 only. This parent is also having closure in the grandparent, or else I can say child is having the closure of parent, also parent of parent, that is known as your grandparent, right? So inside a grandparent you are having the scope of 90 here, right? So whenever you are consoling that, you will have the access of both a and b as well. Okay, that is why it is printing what? A and b. Okay, okay, that is what the execution is. I hope I am clear. Okay, so I shown you what the closure is. I shown you in the live. Okay, fine. So it is pretty much simple to implement the closure as well, right? So try to ask this kind of question to your people and see what their answer is. Okay, Yeah, because of the closure we got b, otherwise we could not, right? That is why JavaScript functions are so beautiful. Okay, you cannot have this kind of functionality in like many languages. This is rare. Okay. No, Nilanjan, closure is like not nested function. Closure is a function along with its lexical environment. Both will be bundled together and then it will return to you. Not just function, not just lexical environment, right? Because we have called our function, right? Right. Now, Vasu, there are plenty of uses of that. Okay, like in function currying, we'll see what the function currying in future. There are many uses of that. Okay, right now I'm just explaining about the closure. What does that mean, right? Closure makes lexical environment. Yes. No, closure does not make lexical environment. That lexical environment is already there. Lexical environment, that means the scope of that. Inside this particular scope, what is the variables? A is only your variable, okay, inside this scope. So it is your lexical environment, right? So basically, the innermost function will have access for all about lexical environments. Yes, it will. Okay, okay. Now we'll read the definition that we had gone previously with the closures. Okay, we have not written any definition, but I have just told you in the verbally that function closures are what we also seen in the MDN side also, right? So a function closure is a combination of a function bundled together with the lexical environment. This is what the closure is. So if your interviewer will ask you that please explain what is the meaning of the closure, then you can explain it by this examples and this particular definition. Okay, definition is not like what is remembered, right? I don't remember the definition as well. I explained you the concept first and then I made the definition. Okay, so that is the way of teaching and that is a way of remembering for you as well. Okay, don't try to mug up anything. It's just a way to learn. Okay, so closures and hoisting, don't mix these two topics. People are mixing these two topics, closures and hoisting. This both are pretty much important in comparison of like in when you are getting like when you are targeting to get a job, right? These both things would be asked highly. There are highly chance to ask this kind of questions in good companies such as CRED or Paytm or this kind of things. All right. So please try to focus on that. Please try to solve a lot of problem with respect to that. And like they will ask you about the output. Okay. They will give you a question and they will tell you like what will be the output. Am I audible? Am I audible? Okay. Okay. ठीक है. So now I will be giving you some problems. I will be giving you some problems. Let me open my developer tools. Okay. I'll give you some time to think on it as well. And we will solve together some problems, right? Is it making sense? Does that making sense, people? Okay. So today what we have learned, basically all in all, if I want to say that, and today what we have learned is first of all the closure. Okay, that is the most important thing. Then the pure and impure function, right? Then we have also learned about the pass by value, pass by reference. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yeah. Okay. So next time onwards, that the topics would be much more to cover. Today we have not covered that much of topic because this is just a way to accelerate your grasping skills. Okay, so similarly gradually we will try to cover up everything what we want, okay, in this particular three parts. Okay. Okay. Now my question to you is, suppose if I am having my my input array. This is pretty much simple, so don't try to uh, do anything else. This is suppose if I'm having my array. Let's say if I'm having my array is A, then let's say like any letters like B, C, H, Z. Okay, these are my letters. Okay, these are my letters, and I want you, I want you to sort this particular array in descending order. Okay, okay. So you have to sort this particular array in descending order, or else like okay, let's just hold on for that. Okay, you just need to find. I'll just give you this particular array. I'll also give you a target. Let's say my target is what, my C. Okay, you need to tell me whether your this particular thing is having your target or not. Okay, so I am having input array like this. You need to find the target thing that is called as your C. You need to find that. Okay, it's pretty easy. Yes, so do that. Then after I'll tell you to do the same thing with just help of one line, without any loops, without any conditions. Just one thing I'll tell you. Okay, but first of all I need to make sure that you know how to do that with respect to the conventional thing that is having. All right. Okay, so please do that. I'm giving you some time for that. So you need to find the target element in your array. Guys, please share the status. You're done. It's pretty simple. Done, everyone. What is the status? Everybody. Okay, ठीक है. So I hope that everyone did with the help of the loops, right? है ना? Or you would check the condition. If the condition is true, then you return that the element found or anything like that. If I'm not wrong, yes or no, right? So I'll just tell you one more thing today. I'll just tell you one more thing today. In the array, you are having one method such as called as find. Okay. In this find method, it is accepting a function. Okay. So it is just like a lambda thing x dot, or else we can say if this is your element, then it will be for your entire element it will be true. Okay. Okay, for your entire element it will be true, or you can also say it as your item. Okay, whatever you want to say. Okay, so you want to check whether your item is equals to your target or not. Okay, if you found that, then it will return you true. So let's say I'm having let result is equals to true or false. Okay, it will return that. Okay, I'm just printing my result as console.log result. Okay, if I run that, can see my output has been found, right? So the result will return whatever the element it has found. Okay, right? Okay, yes or no? Am I clear? Okay, so find is one type of method you can also explore in that. All right, now the second thing that I want to ask you right now is that what will be the output of this, of what I'm asking in just a while. Okay, so I'm asking a question, you need to tell me the output of that. So let's say if I'm having my object, let's say let object is equals to, inside my object uh, I have what, the just the previous thing, just my name as Dipanshu, and age is equals to 21, right? Now I am assigning this to a new object. Okay, obj equals to new object, and I'm doing new obj dot name is equals to Ekta, and uh, this obj dot uh, name is equals to something like Priyanshu. Okay, this is what I have right now. And right now, if I'm doing it, if I'm printing uh, just the console dot log my obj and new obj. Okay, so obj new obj. So can you guys please tell me what will be my output of this? What should be my output of this? Think about it. Okay, Bharat is saying, Keshav is saying Priyanshu 21, Priyanshu 21. Bharat is saying Ekta Priyanshu, Ekta Priyanshu. Okay, but Bharat, what? Where is my age? You are just printing name, है ना? Hariharan is saying Priyanshu 21, Ekta 21. Okay. How about everyone else? Please participate, guys. This is pretty important. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what it will be print. Okay. It is printing Priyanshu 21 and Priyanshu 21. It is clear? Why? No. Priyanshu says no. Can anyone explain here why? Okay. See, right now my OBJ is pointing with which? Dipanshu and 21, right? Na? Right now my OBJ is pointing to my Priyanshu and 21, right? So reference of OBJ is assigned to new OBJ. So any change in OBJ or new OBJ will make a change in both variables because both variable are referring to the same memory location, right? Yes or no? Okay, this we already seen na? You already have seen. Okay, right? So that was the logic of that. Okay, now, now. So if I'm asking you another question like this, I'm asking you another questions like this. Okay, okay. So what? Nilanjan is saying new OBJ has ekta. What about that? So new OBJ is having ekta, but OBJ is having what? Now OBJ is having what? OBJ and new OBJ is pointing to the same thing. Can I say that? I think everyone else are clear about it, right? Though this both are having same thing. Referencing are same, है ना? Because I have assigned the same object to this. No, it will not create a new object, Priyanshu. It will be pointing to the same thing. Okay. Right now, OBJ is having what? This object, right? So this new object will be pushed into the stack. It will point to the same thing like this here, right? So now whatever change you will make inside this any variable like new OBJ or OBJ, if you print that, both will have the same copy of it. Okay. Suppose for an example, if I'm taking it like obj dot age is equals to 22. Now tell me what will be my output here. Tell me what would be my output. There will be two outputs, right? OBJ for new OBJ. I want output for both, right? Everyone agrees with the same thing. Ekta 22, Ekta 22. Let's try to run this. Okay? Can see it will be Ekta 22 and Ekta 22, right? Okay. My audio is clear for everyone. Okay. Refresh your page, please. Okay. So see, just now we have learned it, है ना? I have asked you, and you mistakenly like you know the concept, but you did not write the correct answer. Okay, this is the beauty of it. That is love, है ना? So once you will try to like solve this kind of question, you will like fall in love with this. Okay, okay. Now my question here is, um, suppose suppose I want that. Let me think. Huh. Let's say if I'm having my out input as array is equals to 1 2 3. Okay, okay, and after that I am accessing my array of 2, or else array of 102 is equals to 5, and I'm printing my console dot log array dot length. What it will be print, what it will be printing. Don't try to run this, please. Use your brain and tell me the output. Think about it. Don't, we are not in rush, guys. We are not in rush. Think about it calmly, na? we have a lot of time. Okay, if needed, then we'll take also another extra lecture. But think about it and then answer. Don't try to no answer it as I asked the question. Okay, let me tell you. See, in the array class, I have told you that it is having in zeroth index, one index, zero, two index, right? This is indicating that at the index 102, you will have element 5. Yes or no? Right? Okay. This line does mean that, right? Okay. So that also means that now that array will now extend to this particular location 102, right? Now my array is not restricted to 012 only. It is having length till 102. If you run this, you will have the answer of 103. But but I we know that it will be printing length of 103, right? But now if I'm printing array of 100, let's say any element between of that, right? Like 50. Okay, what will be my output of this? Guys, we have already covered that. We already covered this everything. So in case of variable, it will be undefined. In case of console.log, okay, in case of variable, it will be undefined. In case of array, this array of 50, right? So if you print this particular array, then you will see the empty slot of it. But if you are trying to access it, it will try to access this as a variable. That is why it will print the output of undefined. If you try to print entire array, we'll see the empty slots. Can you see the empty slots? है ना? ठीक है, तो 0 to 99 में सिर्फ 012 is having your values. In the 100 of 100 02 में सिर्फ 100 of 02 will be having your length of like having value of 5. Apart from that, everything are empty slots. ठीक है? Okay, now now let me share my OneNote. Okay, so any doubt till this particular point? Any doubt? No, na? Okay, okay, fine. So what we seen, like what we have seen today, first of all, we have seen that pass by value. That means that every function you are passing, every variable you are passing inside a function that are considered as pass by value, versus or we have seen pass by reference. The second thing that important, we have seen that pure function and impure function. Third thing that we have looked upon today was closure. That was highly important. Okay, it was so important for your entire career. Okay, okay, and from the next class, okay, so from the next class we are focusing on the advanced JavaScript concept part 2. It will be having a lot of concepts, such as, I explained you about IIFE, if you remember, on a Sunday's class, I think so, that there were not a lot of people. Immediately invoke function expression, right? Okay, this kind of concept would be explained in that. I told you at that particular session that it will be explained in the future, right? So this will be the session. In that particular session, it will be explained. Similarly, apart from that, in the next class, it will be part 3, and on the Sunday we'll be having doubt session. Okay, apart from that, every day, like how many of you people are using the facility of TAs to ask your doubt? I told you to at least connect at least one time. If you have doubt, connect with TAs, है ना? Don't feel hesitate about that. It is a feature, it is a right to do that. Na? Okay, cool. On that particular note, we are wrapping up the session today. Okay, and please try to making touch, or please try to be in touch with the TAs. Try to be more open. Use your facility to connect with each other inside in your Slack group also. Okay, and try to revise the sessions that we are doing every day. You will have the recordings of every sessions along with the doubt session, right? Okay, so that is all for today. Okay, we are ending this class right now, and we'll be meeting on Friday with another topic of this advanced JS part 2. Okay, till that particular point, goodbye, and thank you everyone for attending the class. Okay, thank you, thank you so much for attending the class. I really enjoy teaching you guys. Okay, so I really enjoy teaching you guys, and I also try to connect, try to gather more content so that I can teach you in more with more examples, right? Okay, fine. So thank you everyone, and goodbye, good night, have a great day or a great night, and we'll be meet on Friday. Okay, bye.